No one wants to live in Los Angeles anymore, and the death of the dream that made this city a symbol of American possibility will break your heart if you ever believed in what Los Angeles represented. This is not about temporary setbacks or economic cycles that will eventually reverse. This is about the permanent collapse of a promise that sustained generations, the final proof that the city of reinvention has become the city of disillusionment. Los Angeles' population is declining at a rate of 0.66% annually, having lost over 124,000 residents since 2020. And the exodus accelerates every month as more people conclude that staying is impossible and leaving is the only rational choice. The median home price reached $797,470, affordable to only 1/4 of households, while rent consumes 50% or more of income for most residents who cannot afford to buy. These are not just statistics measuring economic hardship. These are measurements of dreams dying, of futures canceled, of the realization that Los Angeles has become a place where ordinary people cannot build the lives they imagined when they arrived, full of hope and possibility. What you are about to discover goes beyond housing costs and crime rates, beyond the surface problems everyone discusses. This is about the death of mythology itself, about what happens when the promise breaks so completely that belief becomes impossible and the dreamers stop coming. We all remember what the dream looked like when it was still alive and worth believing. Los Angeles meant reinvention, the place where your past did not define your future, where anyone could become someone if they worked hard enough and wanted it badly enough. Actors arrived from small towns across America and the world, carrying suitcases and headshots and absolute certainty that Los Angeles would recognize their talent and transform their lives. Musicians came with guitars and demo tapes, convinced that the right audition or chance encounter would launch careers that would justify years of struggle. Writers brought screenplays and novels, entrepreneurs carried business plans, artists hauled portfolios, and everyone shared the fundamental belief that Los Angeles was where potential became reality. The city welcomed dreamers because dreamers were its product and its purpose. The entertainment industry needed constant influxes of hopeful talent willing to work for almost nothing while chasing breakthroughs. The service economy needed workers to staff restaurants and hotels, catering to tourists and industry people. The creative energy that made Los Angeles culturally significant depended on thousands of strivers pursuing improbable goals with irrational optimism. That ecosystem worked because housing was expensive but not impossible, because survival jobs paid enough to cover rent and food while leaving time for auditions and writing and creating. You could struggle in Los Angeles and still believe the struggle meant something, that you were building toward something, that eventually your break would come, or at least you would have tried in the place where trying mattered most. But the dream died slowly and then all at once, strangled by economics that made survival impossible for anyone not already wealthy or willing to accept poverty as permanent condition. Housing costs increased far faster than wages across decades, squeezing dreamers until the gap between income and rent became unbridgeable. The median asking price for a house reached $797,470 in 2022, a figure so absurd that most residents cannot process it as real. That price point is affordable to only 25% of California households, meaning 75% of people living in the state cannot afford to buy a home in Los Angeles at median prices. Rent has become equally crushing, with studios in mediocre neighborhoods commanding $2,000 monthly or more, one-bedroom apartments reaching $3,000 or higher, and anything resembling adequate family housing costing $4,000 and beyond. Someone working full-time at the state minimum wage of $16 hourly earns roughly $2,700 monthly before taxes, meaning rent alone consumes their entire income before food, transportation, healthcare, or any other expense. Even professional middle-class jobs no longer generate enough income to afford Los Angeles housing costs, forcing teachers, nurses, civil servants, and creative professionals into impossible choices between spending 70% of income on rent, living with multiple roommates, or leaving entirely. The mathematics of survival have become untenable for everyone except the wealthy, destroying the possibility of building lives or pursuing dreams when every dollar goes to landlords and nothing remains for living. The Exodus reveals who concluded that staying was impossible and where they went when they left their dreams behind. Los Angeles lost over 124,000 residents between 2020 and 2025, a decline of 3.21% that represents the largest population decrease among major American cities. An additional 26,000 people left in just November 2023 alone, seeking affordability and quality of life in states that still offered what California once promised. The migration was not random. High-income professionals who could work remotely fled to states without income taxes like Texas, Florida, Nevada, and Tennessee, taking their spending power and entrepreneurial energy with them. Young adults who might have built futures in Los Angeles looked at housing costs and concluded that staying meant accepting permanent renting, never owning homes, never building equity, never achieving the basic markers of middle-class stability their parents took for granted. Families with children calculated that they could not afford adequate housing in decent school districts, could not save for college, could not provide the opportunities that justified Los Angeles costs. According to polling, nearly 3/4 of renters and people under 35 were actively considering leaving Los Angeles entirely, representing a catastrophic loss of exactly the demographics cities need to remain vital and dynamic. These are not people being pushed out by immediate crises. These are people making rational calculations that Los Angeles offers no viable path to the futures they want, and that staying means accepting decline rather than building toward anything better. The entertainment industry that defined Los Angeles' identity and purpose is collapsing in ways that eliminate the economic foundation the dream was built upon. Hollywood has shed approximately 42,000 jobs over the past 2 years, hemorrhaging the creative professionals who gave the city its cultural significance and economic engine. Production has fled to cheaper domestic locations, offering better tax incentives, or moved overseas entirely, where labor costs and regulatory burdens are lower. The rise of streaming reduced production volumes, while corporate consolidation eliminated redundant positions and reduced opportunities. Artificial intelligence threatens remaining creative jobs, with studios salivating over possibilities of generating scripts and effects without paying humans. The neighborhoods that used to house industry workers, places like Valley Village, where below-the-line talent built communities around shared careers, are watching those populations evaporate as jobs disappear and nothing replaces them. For young people arriving with entertainment industry dreams, the math has become impossible. They face housing costs that require six-figure incomes to afford while competing for jobs that pay poverty wages if they exist at all. An aspiring actor might book occasional commercials or small roles generating $15,000 annually while spending $36,000 on rent alone, creating a deficit that cannot be sustained without wealth from other sources. The pathway that used to exist, where struggling for years while building credits and connections eventually led to sustainable careers, has closed completely because housing costs make the struggling period unsurvivable. The dream is not dying because people stopped wanting it. The dream is dying because Los Angeles priced out everyone who is not already successful, eliminating the ecosystem of strivers who used to supply the industry with talent and the city with energy. The young adults abandoning Los Angeles represent the death of generational continuity and the city's long-term viability. Nearly 75% of people under 35 are considering leaving, according to polling data that should terrify anyone concerned about Los Angeles' future. These are the people who should be settling in the city, starting families, building careers, creating the next generation of residents and taxpayers. Instead, they are calculating that Los Angeles offers no path to stability and that staying means accepting lives worse than what their parents achieved with less education and fewer opportunities. They watch older generations who bought homes when Los Angeles was affordable retire into wealth from property appreciation, while their own generation faces permanent renting and housing insecurity, despite superior educations and professional achievements. The intergenerational inequality creates justified resentment and a sense that the social contract has broken entirely. When young adults cannot afford to live where they grew up or where they moved to pursue careers, when they cannot imagine achieving the basic life milestones that once defined adulthood, they leave for places that still offer possibility. The cities receiving Los Angeles refugees benefit from educated, ambitious young people who bring skills and energy, while Los Angeles is left aging and stagnant, increasingly populated only by those wealthy enough not to need opportunity and those poor enough to have nowhere else to go. The death of the dream kills the city's future by driving away everyone who would have built that future if staying had been economically viable. Remote work transformed the equation in ways that specifically accelerated Los Angeles' decline by removing the only reason many people tolerated the costs and problems. When location independence became common during and after the pandemic, professionals reassessed why they accepted Los Angeles' expenses and dysfunction. They realized they could earn California salaries while living in states with lower costs, no income tax, better schools, less crime, and shorter commutes. The exodus was immediate and massive, with twice as many people leaving the Los Angeles metro area in 2021 as in 2019. The Riverside area became the most common destination initially as people sought California weather without Los Angeles costs. But migration extended to Arizona, Texas, Nevada, and beyond, as people recognized that staying near Los Angeles served no purpose if they never needed to go to offices. The remote work revolution broke the geographic monopoly that Los Angeles entertainment and tech industries once held over creative professionals. An editor can work for Los Angeles studios from Austin. A designer can serve Los Angeles clients from Phoenix. A writer can sell scripts while living in Portland. The need to physically be in Los Angeles to access career opportunities has diminished dramatically, removing the economic justification for tolerating costs and dysfunction. For remote workers, the dream is not dead. It has just relocated to places where income goes further and quality of life remains achievable. Los Angeles has become obsolete for exactly the population it needs most, the mobile creative professionals who used to accept any hardship to access the opportunities only Los Angeles offered. The neighborhoods where dreams used to be pursued have transformed into landscapes of abandonment and lost hope that make continued belief impossible. The arts district that used to house struggling artists in converted warehouses now features luxury lofts affordable only to tech workers and finance professionals. Silver Lake, where musicians and writers once shared cheap apartments, has gentrified beyond recognition, with studios renting for $3,000 and homes selling for millions. Venice Beach, where bohemian culture once thrived, has become an outdoor camping ground where homeless individuals outnumber the artists who used to define the neighborhood. The geographic locations where Los Angeles creative culture was born and sustained have been cleared of everyone who cannot afford market-rate housing, destroying the communities and networks that made struggling viable. When young artists arrive now, they find nowhere to afford and no community to join, just isolated survival among other isolated individuals who all know they will leave soon, because staying is unsustainable. The death of these neighborhoods represents more than displacement of current residents. It represents the elimination of the physical spaces where the dream used to happen, where struggling artists supported each other and created the culture that made Los Angeles matter beyond just weather and geography. The psychological damage inflicted by the dream's death may be worse than the economic damage, because it represents betrayed faith and broken promises that shaped entire life trajectories. People who move to Los Angeles based on promises about opportunity and reinvention feel lied to and abandoned when they realize the promises were never meant for them. They sacrificed stability elsewhere, burned bridges in their hometowns, spent years struggling in poverty, all based on belief that Los Angeles would eventually reward their dedication and talent. When that reward never materializes, when they realize the game was rigged for people with family wealth and connections they never had, the sense of betrayal turns to bitterness that poisons their memories and future choices. The stories they tell about Los Angeles after leaving become warnings rather than aspirations, cautionary tales about exploitation and false promises that discourage the next generation from even trying. The city's reputation internationally and nationally has shifted from aspirational to pitied, from symbol of possibility to symbol of inequality and dreams destroyed. Young people in small towns who once would have automatically considered Los Angeles now look at the videos and stories from struggling residents and decide to pursue opportunities elsewhere, or accept that their talents will never be developed because the place that was supposed to recognize them has become inaccessible. The dream's death radiates outward through networks and cultures, killing hope before it can even develop into attempts. But the cruelest aspect of Los Angeles' current reality is how the city still markets the dead dream to people who do not yet know it is dead, luring more victims into traps that will destroy them financially and psychologically. The entertainment industry still broadcasts shows and movies that celebrate Los Angeles as the place where dreams come true, that show struggling artists getting discovered and achieving success through talent and persistence. Tourism campaigns still sell sunshine and possibility, still suggest that Los Angeles welcomes dreamers and rewards risk-takers. Universities still graduate students who move to Los Angeles believing their degrees and ambitions will find purchase in a city designed for exactly their aspirations. The gap between the mythology still being sold and the reality people encounter when they arrive has become so extreme that it constitutes fraud, a bait and switch, where the promise that attracts people bears no relationship to what they will actually experience. Every month brings new waves of hopeful arrivals who have not yet gotten the message, who still believe the dream is alive, who will spend a year or 2 or 3 destroying their savings and mental health before they admit defeat and leave like everyone before them. Los Angeles has become a predator city, consuming the resources and hope of naive arrivals while offering nothing in return except eventual recognition that they were marks in a con game disguised as opportunity. The fires of January 2025 provided a perfect metaphor for what has happened to the Los Angeles dream, showing the world what residents had already known for years. The Eaton and Palisades fires consumed neighborhoods and turned skies apocalyptic, creating images that broadcast globally and destroyed whatever remained of Los Angeles's reputation as paradise. But the fires revealed something beyond immediate destruction. They revealed infrastructure inadequacy, government incompetence, and a city so dysfunctional it cannot protect itself or its residents from predictable threats. The dream of Los Angeles always included California sunshine and perfect weather as essential components, as environmental advantages that justified costs and compensated for other shortcomings. The fires destroyed that promise too, revealing that climate change has transformed California weather from advantage to threat, that fire season now extends year-round, that insurance companies are abandoning the market because risks have become unmanageable. The dream required believing Los Angeles was fundamentally desirable, that its natural attributes made it worth whatever struggles were required to stay. The fires proved that assumption wrong, showed that Los Angeles has become actively dangerous in addition to being expensive and dysfunctional. When the core promise of pleasant living conditions collapses along with economic viability and social function, nothing remains to justify continued belief or continued residence. The wealth inequality visible everywhere in Los Angeles makes clear who the city works for and who has been abandoned to fail. Luxury high-rises stand partially empty because investors buy units as assets rather than homes, while homeless encampments spread across sidewalks where people experiencing the ultimate failure of the dream try to survive. Exotic cars parade through neighborhoods where residents living 6 adults to a 2-bedroom apartment watch wealth they will never touch display itself with casual cruelty. The concentration of entertainment industry wealth in small geographic zones creates jarring contrasts where success and failure exist steps apart.
where someone who achieved the dream parks a Maserati outside a restaurant where their server is still chasing the same dream while barely affording rent. Los Angeles has become a monument to winner-take-all economics, where a tiny percentage captures nearly all rewards while everyone else fights for scraps or leaves entirely. The dream was always improbable, but it was supposed to be possible, supposed to offer chances proportional to talent and dedication. The reality that has emerged is far harsher, where success depends more on family wealth and connections than on merit, where most people who should succeed based on ability never get opportunities, while less talented people with resources achieve careers. The visible inequality makes clear that the dream was always a lie, designed to attract cheap labor and desperate strivers who could be exploited and discarded without consequence. Empty studios, empty promises, empty futures. This is what remains when the dream dies and the mythology collapses under the weight of a reality too harsh to spin away. Los Angeles has become a place people flee rather than flock to, a cautionary tale rather than an inspiration, a symbol of everything wrong with American inequality and broken promises. The residents who remain do so despite the city rather than because of it, trapped by circumstances or obligations that prevent escape. The young adults who might have built the city's future are calculating that success anywhere else is easier than survival in Los Angeles, that pursuing dreams in Nashville or Atlanta or even their hometowns offers better odds than fighting impossible economics in a city that has given up on anyone not already wealthy. This is not just about one city failing. This is about the death of a particular kind of American possibility. The idea that cities welcome strivers and reward dedication, that places exist where talent matters more than resources, and where anyone can reinvent themselves through effort and creativity. When Los Angeles stops being that place, when the dream becomes provably dead, something essential disappears from American culture and imagination. The dream is dead because the city killed it through policy choices and economic structures that prioritized wealth accumulation over human possibility, that chose to serve existing property owners and investors rather than welcome new generations of dreamers. The dream is dead because housing costs were allowed to spiral beyond any relationship to wages, because rent control was blocked while development remained inadequate, because every policy decision chose capital over people. The dream is dead because the entertainment industry consolidated and corporatized, eliminating the marginal opportunities where struggling talent used to build careers. The dream is dead because remote work eliminated the geographic necessity that once justified accepting Los Angeles dysfunction. But most of all, the dream is dead because people who believed in it were betrayed too many times, promised too much and delivered too little, until belief became impossible and the mythology collapsed. When enough people realize the dream is dead, when the warnings outnumber the encouragements and the horror stories replace the success stories, the dream cannot be revived, no matter how much sunshine still shines or how many palm trees still sway. Los Angeles has become the place where dreams go to die, where possibility goes to be killed, where hope transforms into resignation and eventual flight. That is what the population decline measures. That is what the exodus represents. That is what has been lost and will not be recovered. If you came to Los Angeles believing the dream and discovered it was dead, share your story in the comments so others know they are not alone in feeling betrayed and abandoned. And if this revelation resonates with your experience or fears, subscribe, because the next investigation might reveal which other American dreams are dying right now, which other promises are breaking, which other mythologies are about to collapse. It is time we acknowledged what has been lost, time we recognized that Los Angeles represented something essential that no longer exists, time we grieved the death of possibility that this city's decline represents. No one wants to live in Los Angeles anymore because Los Angeles has become unlivable for everyone except those who do not need what cities are supposed to provide. The dream is dead. The dreamers have left. What remains is a corpse still pretending to be alive, still marketing promises it cannot deliver, still destroying people who have not yet learned that the city of angels has become the city of broken dreams. That is the truth no one wants to admit, but everyone who has tried and failed knows deeply.
The dream that made Los Angeles matter is dead, and nothing will bring it back.